What's going on, guys, and welcome back. We took a week hiatus to get a lot of things taken care of. Life came at us pretty hard, so we dealt with all that, but everything is good. We just got a little bit busy. Story of being a dad. A lot of you already know that as well. But that's not why we're here. Today we are here to talk about another deck, and that deck being Jafar's New World, Jafar's World, whatever we want to call it. It's a Amethyst steel deck that revolves around Jafar Striking Illusionist and a whole new world to gain 7 lore in one swift move. In addition to this, you have other plays that we will go over, and we have some replays as well. So this deck personally costs $327. That's pretty expensive, especially for like people who aren't playing super competitive. As far as super competitive goes, I come from Yu-Gi-Oh! That's not too bad. So it all depends on what you're kind of looking at. We have 7 1 costs, 10 2 costs, 17 3s, 7 4s, 10 5s, 5 6s, and 4 7s with 11 uninkable cards. If you're new to the channel, consider hitting that subscribe button. I'm also working on a spreadsheet that was taking up a ton of my time this past week, going over and tracking decks that are topping and also deck breakdown showing which cards are most commonly played and at which ratios. All kinds of very helpful information. So soon that will be linked in all of my videos and it will be posted on the community tab. So make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss out on that spreadsheet, which is hopefully going to cover anything a competitive player could ask for. So further ado, Captain Hook. We are playing 3 Captain Hooks and 4 Robin Hoods as our 1-drops. Captain Hook being a challenger just makes him a very strong 1-drop that I enjoy a lot. Our 2-drop characters, we have 4 Blue Fairy, so whenever you play a Floodborn card, you may draw a card. This not only helps you just draw cards in general, but also can trigger your Jafar later in the game to gain lore in the process. Your Jafar Royal Vizier, he's a 3-2 who can also gain evasive on your turn and deal with that Surfer mini or the Tinkerbell in the Amethyst Emerald deck. So he comes in and he's very helpful for both of those cards. In addition to that, you can shift him for your Striking Illusionist and also your 4-drop Dreadnought Jafar. We're playing 4 Madam Mim Fox. She is just very strong. The rush helps you deal with your opponent's boards. Bouncing cards back to your hand also can be helpful. Tinkerbell Tiny Tactician. We're playing her at 2, and I was debating if we are going to play her at all. However, the fact that every turn you can exert her to draw a card and choose and discard a card, key part being draw a card to trigger your Jafar for that lore. I mean, at the same time, you could say she could just quest for herself and then you don't have to discard. Absolutely true, but if you don't like your card in your hand, you can trade it out for a different card and still gain a lore in the process. Additionally, she does offer that shifting value to your big tink. Jafar Dreadnought, he is a shift 2. You're not going to play him on turn 2 because our Royal Vizier is a 2 cost. However, you can play him turn 3 or just later game for just 2 ink over your Royal Vizier. He's a 3-4 who draws anytime he banishes a character in a challenge. And keep in mind also, he is a Floodborn character, so he will trigger your Blue Fairy to draw a card that way. Robin Hood, Champion of Sherwood. This card is one of the best shift targets in the entire game. 6 will, multiple quests. He gets you, or multiple lore. He gets you multiple lore for challenging if he banishes a character. Destroys, banishes, same thing. And when he's beat in a challenge, you get to draw a card. He replaces himself. Very strong. We are playing 2 Yzma, Scary Beyond All Reasons. I really like her. Not only can you shuffle back your card to draw 2 if you really need to and trigger your Jafar, you can also get rid of an opponent's problematic card. Yes, they'll draw 2, but sometimes it does not matter. Tinkerbell Giant Fairy at 3 just to help come in and deal with your opponent's boards. And then again, 4 Striking Illusionists, the Jafar, because, well, it's his deck and we're just playing in it. He is also evasive, so keep that in mind. And if you sing A Whole New World, it's the cost to exert him, so he will be exerted when the card resolves, and thus you will gain 7 lore. Our removal cards, we're playing 2 Baboom, 2 cost, deal 2 damage, 2 Rise of the Titans, just to get rid of those pesky locations or potentially an item card. Something like Queen's Castle, you don't want to stick around too long, or just other, items such as a Fishborn Quill or a Lucky Dime. There's so many good targets for this card, and if they're not, well, it's still inkable. Then we're also playing 3 Smash, the 3 cost that deals 3 damage. All of them are inkable, which is very helpful. We're playing 15 Songs as more forms of removal or draw, just overall utility. 4 Friends on the other side as a draw card. Let the Storm Rage on at 2, which deals 2 damage and draws you a card. Along Came Zeus, because dealing 5 damage is just very strong, 3. And then 4 A Whole New Worlds again, because this card pairs up with Jafar so well. Lastly, we are playing 2 Grab Your Swords, dealing 2 damage to each opposing character, just in case you need to hit those go wide type decks. I was testing and debating on playing 2 Queen's Castle instead of this. However, reminder that your Jafar will ready himself before you would get the draw from your castle, so you're not going to get the lore that way. However, you would still get to draw cards, which is never a bad thing. So this is the deck profile. Let's go watch a few replays and talk about them as well. So we're going to jump right into our first replay, being a supposed mirror match. Amethyst Steel. Let's go see what happens. And our first hand is, we're going first. We open Yzma, Fox, Let the Storm Rage on, Blue Fairy, Captain Hook, Baboom, and then Along Came Zeus. So we have a nice little cost curve here. We do have 2 uninkable cards. What could he have? Well, Along Came Zeus might be helpful, but Yzma needs to go. Fox can stay to go second. Storm Rage on. Really debated on the Along Came Zeus. We do draw into another Let the Storm Rage on, so it's nice that we don't have multiple uninkable cards. We do have 2 Fox and Storm as going second cards. In addition, Captain Hook's Challenger, and the Baboom. So we can go ahead. What do we ink here, though? Debated. I'm like, yeah, we can get rid of the Fox because we have Baboom, Storm, Fox, so much. Then we can go ahead, again, play our Captain Hook. He inks a Hook. And then he comes down with his own Hook. We draw into our Jafar. So we have our boss. We get rid of the other Fox. And then debating if we Baboom it. And no, we're going to go Jafar, pass turn. I don't want to quest there because he'll just gain too much advantage. He'll Challenger attack into me, take me out, and survive, which is just not good. We are mirroring each other's moves, apparently. So he does almost what I did. But you're going to see here why I didn't do that. And the fact that we have Baboom here in hand is going to help us swing the tempo very much so. So we can go ahead, Baboom the Jafar, and then challenge into his Hook. Only take the 1 because, again, Challenger is only on our turn. We ink the Blue Fairy. I just feel like I'm not going to need her, really. And then we can quest with our Jafar. So essentially we're playing it out the same, but because he quested with that Hook, it allowed us to take control of the game. If he wants to keep with us, he'll have to ink 1 here, and then we both still have 5 cards total. He plays the friends on the other side, so technically he goes 1 up on us. However, we have 2 on board, and we play our own friends. We then ink the Rise of the Titans, because it's not going to matter in this matchup, and put another Challenger down. So we can control the board state at this time. Something like Grab Your Swords is really the best way he could swing things back in his favor. We see a big Tink go ahead and get inked, and then Jafar comes down. Then we're going to go ahead and ink our little Tink and shift into Jafar. Debating here now, what do? We're going to sing that, draw 2, gain 2 lore. Quest and quest. We're baiting out his Jafar to see if he won't go after us. We did draw into Rise of the Titans and friends on the other side. We also have that Let the Storm Rage on. He cannot attack into our Jafar because it is evasive. So that's one thing we have going for us. He attacks, say, one of the Captain Hooks. Then we can go ahead and use, say, Let the Storm Rage on. We could hit it with Jafar. There's a few options we have. He opts to do nothing. We draw into our Robin Hood. We're going to ink the other Rise of the Titans. sing the friends on the other side, get 2 more lore, throw down Robin Hood, and I was like, oh, I'll just ink this one. We already inked it. So instead, it hits the board. But at 11-1 here, even if we lost our hook, potentially both, we can sing A Whole New World, which is 7, and Robin Hood can quest for 2, which is 9. So we are threatening lethal. He doesn't necessarily know that we're threatening lethal. He shifts into his own Jafar, and then he quests for 1. So again, he can't stop us. We're threatening lethal. Pay attention to your challengers, like that Captain Hook play there with the Baboom too to take out the Royal Vizier. It was just too good. We swung all the tempo right into our favor. So here we go, Whole New World, get 7, and then quest, and that's the game. Ruby Amethyst going second, so let's go ahead and stop that. Once again, we have Along Came Zeus and Yzma. This time we have double friends, Jafar, another Yzma, and Robin Hood. We're not necessarily a fast or aggro deck here, so we got to play it out smart. Going second, we have Along Came Zeus. That's about it. I mean, we have Yzma as well as the turn 6 play. So let's see what... It's so awkward. Like, what do we want to do? We get rid of the Along Came Zeus, though, because I just feel like it's not necessarily needed, and I have other copies, and we have a lot of draw engine. I want to get to my early plays also, and Jafar and Robin Hood are both so good, I didn't want to give them up, but we end up going against... I should have stopped it a second later. I did this, recorded the gameplay the other day, and now I'm doing a whole bunch of talking, recording like 5 videos in one day, so that's my fault, guys. I'm sorry. And we kept the Along Came Zeus, which makes more sense. We draw into the A Whole New World, Fox, Stormrage on, Royal Vizier, and our little Robin Hood. Well, 3 uninkable cards is not good. We draw into Tinkerbell, that helps. And we have our Robin Hood. Our opponent does not come out with a turn 1 play, so that helps as well. Oh, we have a Patreon down below. And I've always been kind of like, why set that up? I never really liked those. However, I decided I'm going to set one up. And that Patreon is that Patreon is going to help fund giveaways on the channel. I will pitch in extra if needed, and at times to also make the giveaways bigger and better. But we're going to have subscriber only giveaways, obviously, and also Patreon only giveaways, because it's not necessarily fair for them to pay for everything and then not get something exclusive. So we are going to have 2 monthly giveaways every month, starting early April. So stay tuned for all that. Like, share, subscribe, comment down below. You know the drill. We come back with our Royal Vizier. We have our Smash in our hand. All those uninkable cards, however, is going to be a problem if we draw into another one next turn. I'd rather not get rid of my Smash. Our opponent once again doesn't play anything. We draw Yzma, which is nice. Can go Robin Hood and Royal Vizier. The downside here, he hasn't done anything yet. So is his hand all high cost cards? Or like what's going on? I don't necessarily want to A Whole New World him, and we draw another uninkable card. We ink the Smash just to keep it going. He inks the Teeth, and finally a Maui comes down. I was like, how long do you go before like playing? And it's this, we draw into another Whole New World. So sitting on 5 uninkable cards, this is just getting rough. We let the Stormrage on to get rid of the Maui and draw a card, and that card essentially becomes ink, which I'm okay with because I'd rather keep Tinkerbell in my hand. But it's like, he just had the Surfer, and now the Medusa comes down. So does he have like multiple Be Prepareds? Trying to figure out what could be in his hand. Let's go ahead and play the Along Came Zeus to get rid of it. We have an 8-0 advantage though, so I'm not in a horrible spot. He comes down with double Mini Surfer. I don't know why he wasn't playing these cards sooner, because they're evasive. Another Teeth and Ambition as well. His play lines confused me. I choose to keep the Fox there because if I get hit by Be Prepared, I want to be able to start having cards in my hand that I can play. Instead, the Queen's Castle comes down. And let's go ahead. Waiting, quest, move them to your castle. Actually, I think he might forget to move them to the castle. Definitely move them to the castle in this scenario, though, because you want those 2 extra draws. So, Mim Fox comes down. Yeah, don't do that. Now I know another card in your hand. You could have moved them both to the castle. I get you want the ink, I guess, but you could have drawn 2 extra cards. And instead, we get rid of the mini, and then we can go with our own fox, bounce the Cinderella, and we just, like, we gain so much advantage and tempo on that play sequence. The Medusa comes down, and then they crash. So he's got 1 card in hand. We can go ahead, play our Tinkerbell, deal the 1 damage, play the Robin Hood. I got 7 ink. I'm okay with that. We're up 8 to 4. Merlin Crab comes down. Not going to matter because our cards cannot be challenged. Confusing playline, but at the same time too here, the Jim Hawkins comes down. So we have double Whole New World. I'm kind of hoping to get to my Jafar at this point. We take out, and then we take out the Medusa, put 2 on Hawkins. At that point, it doesn't matter where we put the 3 from Smash. He's going to be able to take out my Tinkerbell with whatever character is left, whether it be the crab or not. And here it's like, do you hard cast and then you have no tempo, and it's just it's so awkward having so many uninkable cards and not, like, losing the Tinkerbell too, so you can't hard cast it to keep the tempo up. But at the same time, like, just the way our opponent's hand went, I didn't want to give him a fresh hand, especially because early on his hand was just, like, so awkward and weird that he had a lot of good cards still in his deck. I don't want to give him 7 new cards. Like, it just kind of makes it weird for us. Be Prepared comes down. We go ahead, and now we hit our Jafar. So 13 to 5. We have the wrong Jafar, but now if we get the right Jafar, his rabbit comes down, draw another card. We have friends on the other side. We're going to hard cast it to draw 2, because if we hit our other Jafar, we could have inked 1 and then shifted him and then played the Whole New World and won the game. So double rabbit versus double Jafar. Again, so Be Prepared once again comes down. Gets to draw his 2 cards. So we're both sitting at 4, but we have quite a big advantage, and we draw our 4th Whole New World. Yeah, we got 4 Whole New Worlds in our hand. Another rabbit comes down, RLS Legacy, move him there, and we finally hit our Jafar. Oh my goodness, finally. Well, Maui comes down. If he can't get rid of Jafar, we win the game. So he has to do something. Pinocchio Star Attraction here was something I was worried about. Or not Star Attraction, that's the questing one. The one where you can exert your opponent's character. And RLS Legacy, giving Maui evasive, would allow him to take it out. However, it does not happen, so we get the win. Sapphire Ruby. We have one more replay for you guys. I think one more. We're going first. Against this deck, you typically have like 2 turns before they get a character on board. Baboom's going to be kind of meh. Rise of the Titans is going to be really good, though, to get rid of that Fishborn Quill, the McDuck Manor, Lucky Dime, things that might come out. Blue Fairy's good. Along Came Zeus is not great. Tinkerbell, not great. Could have debated keeping Friends, but I want to get to some turn 1 and 2 plays because I really need them. And Mim Fox, again, not necessarily going to be good. Well, we decide to trade them in and hit Zeus, Fox, Baboom, and Friends anyway. We have a Robin Hood, too, so we don't get a turn 1 play, which always just kind of feels bad. We didn't want Baboom the first time. We don't want Baboom the second time. Our opponent then inks one of the Lost Boys, and we draw into a Whole New World. We get rid of our Mim Fox, play our Blue Fairy. at least next turn we can friends to draw. And then we see our little deck go, and Scrooge comes out. And then we get our own Ba-Boom. So that's actually kind of nice because it's going to be good ink fodder. Then we can go ahead and we draw into 2 Robin Hoods. That actually works out because we can play Little Robin Hood, and then we can shift the following turn into our Champion of Sherwood. Assuming here he's probably either going to go with Fishborn Quill or with the Detective Mickey. And actually instead Agrabah comes down. So not quite what I was expecting. I'm full on expecting like the McDuck Manor control type deck. We come down, we can Rise of the Titans, get rid of it, and then we also have our Robin Hood, just trying to take full advantage of our turn and get the most value for us. So it's turn 4 and he hasn't started ramping like at all. So I'm okay with that. Kind of curious on things, and the McDuck Manor comes down, and we draw a smash. Just debating like what I wanted to do. We go Robin Hood, and then we get to draw because of our fairy, and we happen to draw into our Jafar, which is just really, really good. We can go ahead quest, and then we're going to sing our Along Came Zeus to hit the McDuck Manor. He's going to get 2 lore from it. And debating. Genie gets inked, and that Dragonfire actually hurt a lot. That was a pretty good card. We play the smash, and then we got double fairy down. So getting double fairy down always feels good, especially when you're at like this 6 ink mark. Like if we draw another inkable card, play Jafar, we're getting draw 2. That's going to be really nice. You get Dreadnought, that's draw 2. Tinkerbell, Yzma, your Robin Hood, like so many ways we get to draw 2 here. So our opponent's actually playing pretty aggressive here. We do get an inkable card. He's got what, 7 on board, so we have to attack, so that way we can take it out next turn. We go Jafar, draw 2. He's going to get the 2 passive, have 5 more on, and take a 14-4 lead. Yeah, the deck's actually kind of interesting. I'm trying to like think ahead, like, okay, we put the 2 fairies on it, so now they can take out the McDuck Manor if needed. I can use my bigger cards to take out his characters. Let's see like where he goes with his whole turn. So we hit Let the Storm Rage On, which is actually pretty good because we can go ahead, deal 2, and then draw a card. Debating what to do. We take out the Peter Pan because then we only take 1 damage. And again, the Let the Storm Rage On can take out the Genie anyway. And then we draw into our Tinkerbell. We play a Jafar Dreadnought. We make sure you don't shift there because it's possible, so don't do it. And we get to draw 2 new cards. We hit Robin Hood and Fox, ink the little Tinkerbell, and play the Robin Hood. So we're actually in a pretty good spot now because we have our draw engine going. We have Jafar who can gain a 7. We can shift. Oh, we don't have the shifter. We cannot shift. But we can go quest 1, 2, 3, 4. Quest 4, you would also get the 7. So we have 11 on board at the moment. So that's pretty good. And if we play, say, Tinkerbell, we draw 2 more. So we actually have 13 on board as is. We could have won that turn. I didn't see that while playing. Well, that's okay. So we go ahead, we shift Jafar to save a little ink, draw 2, go to 10, and actually we're going to win anyway, but there was a different play line to get there, like we just mentioned. But then quest, 213, and go ahead, hardcast, whole new world, and gain that lore. So the deck can win very, very quickly out of absolutely nowhere. What did we just pull on that final turn? 13 on the final turn is 16-7, and we ended up winning. Yeah, so don't sleep on this deck, guys. It's not performing at what I think it can do at the moment. Spreadsheet coming, see videos, links down below stuff. like that. Like I said, Patreon funding, giveaways, all that kind of good stuff. But thanks for watching. What do you think of this deck? Like, share, subscribe, comment down below.